Coming up on the March 18th edition of Sports Extra, so close. The Heels traveled to Greensboro, but their ACC weekend had a disappointing finish. The Duke rivalry continued at Fetzer Field this week, and things got physical as the Heels took on the Blue Devils. And the NCAA tournament is finally here, so who will dance with the Tar Heels, and how long will the Heels keep dancing? All that and more. Sports Extra starts right now.
From the University of North Carolina School of Journalism and Mass Communication, covering the full range of Tar Heel athletics, this is Sports Extra.
8. That's the seed the Tar Heels have for the upcoming NCAA tournament. Hello and welcome to Sports Extra, UNC's only highlights, analysis, and commentary show. I'm Natalia Perez.
And I'm Allie Massione. We'll discuss why Tar Heel fans feel they deserve better and tell you why that 8 seed shouldn't look as bad as it might. But first, we'll review how the Heels got that seed. And joining us now to talk about the ACC tournament is Mike Rodriguez, who sacrificed his spring break to bring you coverage. So, Mike, did the Heels make it worth your while?
Allie, they sure did. They made a run in the championship game, fell a little bit short, but it was a lot farther than people thought they'd make it.
We've had some ups and downs this year, and we went through a period where we struggled, and a lot of people kind of doubted us. But the great thing about that is we stuck together as a team, and we finally started getting things clicking.
The Heels were definitely clicking immediately after their embarrassing loss to Duke to end the regular season. And Florida State was the team that saw UNC rolling on all cylinders. The Heels beat the Seminoles by 21 points for the second time this season. Freshman point guard Marcus Page was 1 point shy of a double-double, tallying a season-high 10 assists. And sophomore guard P.J. Hairston gave quite a show in front of his hometown in the Greensboro Coliseum. He scored 21 points, hitting 5 of 6 threes. We'll have more about him later in the show. The Heels dominated the Seminoles despite James Michael McAdoo getting in early foul trouble. He played only 14 minutes but made the most of every one, scoring 12 points. Head coach Roy Williams had mixed reactions about McAdoo's performance.
You got to play without fouling. We work all the time to not foul. But have James Michael only play 14 minutes was big for us.
The Heels then squeaked by 7-footer Alex Lynn and the Maryland Terrapins for their 8th win in 9 games. Senior guard Dexter Strickland had an offensive outburst early and led the team with 15 points. Reggie Bullock also added 15 points and was 1 rebound shy of his 5th double-double of the season. Roy Williams says the team has fought hard to get better.
Unbelievably proud of what they've accomplished and how far they've come when everybody was abandoning ship earlier.
After the brackets came out yesterday, people are already starting to abandon ship yet again.
We'll get to that later in the show, but there's a lot of talk about P.J. Hairston. We're going to talk about him a lot too. But were there any unsung heroes who helped get the Heels to that title game?
Allie, absolutely. Reggie Bullock. I mean, he played all the minutes in the game, honestly. He scored double-double figures, and he hit the rebounds hard. 9 rebounds twice, 7 rebounds the other time.
Thanks, Mike.
That victory against Maryland was number 699 for Coach Williams, meaning he was trying to become the 3rd fastest coach to 700 wins by beating the Hurricanes on Sunday. The Heels fell short for the 3rd straight year, losing in the ACC championship game. And again for the 2nd time from a team from Florida. Sophomore guard P.J. Hairston went shot for shot against Miami guard Shane Larkin. Hairston scored a game-high of 28 points, hitting 6 three-pointers. That's tied for the most threes he's made this season. And it was contagious. He hit 13 of their 29 shots from behind the arc.
Natalia, honestly, every time they shot a 3, the crowd was going crazy. I was kind of worried the roof was going to come down.
You can't forget about Reggie Bullock, Mike. He hit 3 threes and had a total of 11 points.
You know, honestly, the weather was great in spring break, but it was raining 3s in the Coliseum.
Unfortunately for the fans, Larkin and Hurricanes matched those 3s, hitting 12 of their 22 shots from long range. But Coach Williams says he wasn't upset he couldn't cut down the nets.
My team gave great effort today. My team was tough today. My team was attentive today. And yes, we made a couple of mistakes, but that's a game of basketball. But
Mike, what was Greensboro like? What was the atmosphere for that game?
Well, Shane Larkin in the post-game press conference said that he heard the Miami fans more than the Carolina fans, which is crazy because they're from Florida.
Really? So Carolina fans were quiet, Mike?
Absolutely not. Like I said before, I mean, they were going crazy. P.J. Hairston was the hometown hero, from Greensboro. They were definitely cheering for him a lot.
That's good. And Twitter was blowing up with every three-pointer Harrison made last night.
Sure was. Here are the best tweets about Hairston's performance. ESPNU's late night show Unite warned children not to act out what Hairston was doing. Hairston has 6 threes with a sliced hand. Kids, do not try this at home. At Big Brown 786 revealed what PJ really stands for. It's pure jumper Hairston. And Sarcastic Roy always has something to say. He said he tuned into the wrong game. He was watching a 3-point contest, then an ACC tournament championship game suddenly broke out. 6 3-pointers, 8 stitches. That's what PJ Hairston did against Miami.
But that's not all. He also won this weekend's tournament MVP for the Tar Heels. The Heels wouldn't be where they are today if it weren't for Harrison's play as a starter late in the season. And in the conference tournament, he came back from a gruesome injury on his left hand against Florida State. He required 8 stitches between his middle and ring fingers in the Heels' first game of the tournament. But fortunately for Tar Heels, he's right-handed, and he was able to lead the Heels to their 3rd championship game in a row. Coach Williams says he likes the toughness he saw in the sophomore.
He was one tough sucker today. He's been a pansy most of the time I've known him, but today he was one tough sucker, and I think his hand bothered him a little bit. He plays 36 minutes.
And here's a look at Hairston's numbers throughout the tournament, most of which he got with one hand. Hairston scored 62 points against Florida State, Maryland, and Miami. That's almost 21 points per game. He shot exactly 50% from the field throughout the tournament, and he made more than 40% of his 3-point attempts. Against Miami, he made 6 of his 13 3-point attempts. So, Mike, you were there. How did those 8 stitches in his left hand affect Hairston's play throughout the tournament?
Well, a lot of people were saying he looked great. I mean, you saw some of those numbers. But when it came to rebounding, he struggled a little bit. His hand was so far away from, the defender. He wanted to avoid at all costs. He was rebounding with one hand, and that's something I worry about.
Left hands really haven't been too kind to the Tar Heels in the past, have they, Mike? But are there any worries about Harrison's play affecting in the future?
No, not at all. I mean, the stitches should be fine after a week. I wouldn't be too worried about that. The only thing is maybe he gets a little stiff. He's not stretching it out, over the course of the week until, NCAA tournament starts.
Harrison's stellar play earned himself a conference all-tournament team selection. He's joined by a teammate, 2 Hurricanes, and a Terrapin. Reggie Bullock made the team as well. Miami's Shane Larkin and Duran Scott also earned a selection. But Maryland Des Wells, who engineered the Terps' upset with Duke with 30 points, rounded out the team. So, Mike, these players were the most important to two out of the 3 in the tournament, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, the Heels wouldn't have been there without Reggie Bullock or PJ Hairston, and Miami and Shane Larkin won tournament MVP, so of course he has to belong.
So there weren't any surprises from this all-tournament team selection?
I was a little surprised James Michael McAdoo didn't make the tournament, or didn't make an all-tournament team. He's definitely kind of the biggest name NBA-wise on the team. And Marcus Page, I have to give props to him. He had a 10-assist game. He had a 17-point game. He was a second-team all-timer.
Well, Tar Heel fans sure hope to see that Carolina Blue on the Final Four team. Thanks, Mike. But don't go too far. We'll need you later to pick your Final Four teams. And think you know who will win the NCAA tournament? Then join the Sports Extra Bracket Challenge group on ESPN.go.com to challenge crew members and other fans of the show. A beatdown by the Blue Devils. No, we're not talking about the basketball team.
We'll look at the men's lacrosse team's run-in with Duke when Sports Extra returns.
By liking the Sports Extra Facebook page and following us on Twitter @SportsExtra_UNC.
Don't look at me. Your hair's a bit frizzy today. Oh, you should pick that up. Oh, you're such a dork. Loser. Here, let me help you with that. Oops.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Oh, look. Your crush is looking at you. Or you.
They want to help, but don't know how.
See, no one here's gonna help you, because no one
Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Packers. Viking. Packers. Viking. Pack.
Red state. Blue state. Vegan.
Carnivore.
We come from different places.
Uptown. Downtown.
Night owl.
Early bird.
We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
Half full.
But when we live united, we create real, lasting change in the building blocks of life. The education, income, and health of our communities,
Live.
our families,
United.
even the person next to us.
Live united.
Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.
The runner-up spot is a familiar one for UNC basketball after a win against Boston College and upsetting Maryland.
The women's team fell to Duke in the tournament title game. The Blue Devils beat the Heels 92-73. It's the third time Carolina's lost to the Blue Devils this season. Tiara Ruffin-Pratt led the team with 25 points. No surprise there, though. The senior guard averaged 21.3 points per game during the tournament, landing her a spot on the all-tournament team. Tonight's the night the selection committee reveals the women's NCAA tournament bracket. Madison Way joins us live in the studio to discuss what Carolina fans should expect from the Heels. Madison, what kind of seeding do you think UNC will get in the tournament?
Well, the Tar Heels definitely have an interesting resume. They had a big win against Maryland in the semifinals of the ACC tournament, as well as a regular season win against them. And then who can forget preseason NIT champions? And they won the ACC Big Ten Challenge against Ohio State. So I think the highest they could go is a 3 seed, but realistically they had 3 big losses to Duke, and then they got crushed by Tennessee. So probably going to end up about a 4 or 5 seed. But if you remember back in 2011, that's where UNC ended up, and they made it all the way to the Sweet 16. So I've nothing but high hopes for the Heels this year.
Absolutely. And if the Heels are going to make a deep run into the NCAA tournament, what players will need to step up, Madison?
Well, we talked about her earlier, but Tiara Ruffin-Pratt is definitely a name that everybody needs to know if you're going to follow this team through the NCAA tournament. She has been incredible this year. She leads the team with 13.2 field goal attempts per game, 15.4 points per game, and she's just really active and aggressive on the floor. She contributes about 2.6 steals per game and 4.4 assists, all those stats leading the team. So I don't know if step up, but she just really needs to keep playing consistently.
Well, Tar Heel fans are hoping that all of the Heels come to play. Thanks, Madison. That was Madison Way, live in the studio. And don't forget you know how the brackets will play out. Then join our Sports Extra Challenge.
Go to espn.go.com and search for the Sports Extra group, or check out our Facebook page with a link to the group. Different results for the men's and women's tennis teams over break. The top-ranked women's team beat Baylor and Texas Tech. The Heels beat both teams 5-2. Carolina on a 5-game winning streak. As hot as the women are, the men are that cold. The Heels lost to TCU, Texas, NC State, and Duke during break. Carolina's on a 6-game losing streak and hasn't won a match since February 24th. The men's lacrosse team started spring break with an upset against Princeton, but
Carolina didn't have much luck against bitter rivals Duke. UNC struggled from the get-go. After Duke outscored the Heels 6-3 in the first quarter, North Carolina tried to come back in the second period. But Duke's goalkeeper kept getting in the way. He ended the game with 8 saves. Carolina's Karen Burke also had 8 saves. But the Blue Devils fired off 19 shots and had 11 goals. Duke beat the Heels 11-8. And the Heels are in action right now, taking on Dartmouth. The score is 6-3.
The streak continues for the women's lacrosse team, 7 in a row now for the Heels. They beat UVA, High Point, and Georgetown over break. Carolina's 7-1 now after losing its opening game to Florida.
The top-ranked baseball team suffered its first loss of the season Friday against Miami. The Diamond Heels fell short 1 to the number 29 Hurricanes, but railed back in the second and third games to win the weekend's 2-1. On Sunday, freshman Sky Bolt hit a 3-run homer in the bottom of the 8th to give the Heels the lead. Marilyn Payne is live in Breeze Felt's digital newsroom with Bolt now. Marilyn?
All right, Tala, I've got Sky here. Sky, I know it's probably not what you want to talk about, but what does it mean for this top-ranked team to have one loss on the record now after this weekend?
Yeah, it's something that we've had to face, and we knew it was going to happen. Coach Fox talked us through it, and I think it's good for this team. We're a strong team. We've got a lot of talent across the board. It's not going to deter us from our goal at all. But, you know, every team needs a win, and to think that you can win 57 games without losing in NCAA baseball is just not going to happen. So we've learned from it. I think it's made us a little bit stronger. And, heck, we came back the next 2 days and put it on them.
Certainly did. The team scored more points Saturday, I believe, than they have since 2008. And then we'll talk about Sunday, too. It was looking close when it came down to the 8th inning. Talk about the confidence that you felt coming to the plate before you hit your home run against a pitcher who'd struck 3 out and then was pitching scoreless in the 8th.
Absolutely, yeah. It's something that I think I'm going to see quite frequently this season. They did it at Wake Forest. Wake Forest had great coaching staff along with Miami, and that's something that you got to do in baseball is you got to get around the big stick, and for us that's Colin Moran. I think we all know where he's going to end up after this year, and as a head coach for a great university there at Miami, it's something that they needed to do, and they pitched around them. So I'd seen it twice before at Wake Forest. I was pretty confident in it. I looked up at my dad in the stands. I kind of gave him a smile, and just had all the confidence in the world looking for that one pitch, and I got it. And I can be honest with you, I don't remember the rest.
All right, that's great. Well, we hope that you have the same luck again tomorrow against Princeton. Back to you in the studio, Tala.
We absolutely do. Thanks, Marilyn. That was Marilyn Payne live in the Reese Phelps Digital Newsroom with freshman standout Sky Bolt.
Softball won half of its games over break. The Heels beat Boston College 3 times and Eastern Michigan once. Carolina is 20-10 so far this season. Brackets are out and the dancing floor is set. Will the Heels
be dancing long into the night, or will the party be cut short?
Danse, balance, suis la cadence, ondule bien tes hanches au bal du dimanche. Danse, que la fête commence. Dans ma belle robe blanche, je suis ton chou.
You didn't give up on sex. Don't give up on birth control either. There are more methods than you think. Find yours at bedsider.org.
Thanks. You believe this guy?
Are you trying to start a wildfire?
Sorry. Pass the honey?
9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today. Call or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
$7,000 high school students drop out every school day. Let's catch them before it's too late. To start helping students in your community, visit boostup.org.
It's official. UNC is in the big dance, but as an 8th seed.
Joining us live in the studio now to discuss the seeding and UNC's chances is Ryan O'Rourke. Ryan, many people feel the Tar Heels deserve better than an 8 seed. Is this surprising to you at all?
You know, it's very surprising. Many people expected the Heels to get a 6 seed, definitely because they've been playing so well with a small lineup as of late. They've won 8 of their last 10 games, but it might have been the loss Sunday in the HC Championship game to Miami that knocked them down to the 8 seed.
Now, does this 8 seed put the Heels at a disadvantage?
Absolutely. It's a huge disadvantage. If we do beat Villanova in the first round, we have a potential next round matchup with Kansas, who's the 1 seed. And Kansas knocked the Heels out of the tournament last year in the Elite 8. They're led by a 7-footer Jeff Withey and freshman standout guard Ben McLemore. So it's going to be a tough matchup for the Heels, and they're going to have to play their best to win the game.
Well, there is some good news for Tar Heel fans about this seed, and it's this week's hidden stat. The 8 seed is tied for the worst seed the Heels have ever had in the NCAA tournament. That's not the good news. The last time the Heels had that seed, 2000, when Carolina made it all the way to the Final Four before losing to Florida in the national semifinals. Some good news there, Ryan, but what teams stand in the way of the Heels making a similar run to the 2000 squad?
Well, obviously, like I said before, Kansas, they're a 1 seed and they only have 5 losses this year. Georgetown is also another team that could cause some problems. That could be a potential Elite 8 matchup. They don't really score a lot of points, but they play great defense and maybe have the best player in the country in Otto Porter. But we can't look too far ahead. Our first game against Villanova, they're a very well-coached team, and they've beaten Louisville, Syracuse, Georgetown, and Marquette this year. So they're very capable of beating good teams.
So, Ryan, if the Heels want to defy the odds and their fans' expectations, what players will have to step up?
Well, it's going to have to be our wing players, P.J. Harrison and Reggie Bullock. They're going to have to carry much of the scoring load and continue to shoot the ball well from behind the arc. Both are averaging over 14 points per game, so really the Heels can't afford for either of them to have an off game. They're both shooting 39% and 44% respectively from three-point land, so we're really going to need some threes to make a run. Also, Marcus Page, the freshman point guard, definitely needs to step up. He's been playing very well as of late and has matured a lot throughout the season, but the progress needs to continue if the Heels are going to make a deep run. You know, he's the floor general at point guard, so he needs to push the tempo, limit the turnovers, and create more shooting opportunities for P.J. Hairston and Reggie Bullock to get good looks.
We'll see how Page and the shooting guards perform when Carolina faces Villanova this Friday. Thanks, Ryan. That was Ryan O'Rourke live in the studio. If the Heels want success in three-point shooting, a new addition to the coaching staff could prove useful. We revisit Julian Caldwell's look at a new face on the Carolina coaching staff.
And he gives them the ability to shoot from the outside and score down low.
A few months ago, former Tar Heel and NBA player Hubert Davis was here for ESPN. But now he's back at Chapel Hill as an assistant coach on UNC's men's basketball team. That's after being called into Coach Roy Williams' office during the summer.
He said, I'd like you to be a part of my staff. And he talked about 5 minutes after that, and I can't remember anything that he said.
Davis was a star for the Heels from 1988 to 1992. He played 12 years in the NBA and has spent 4 years as a top college basketball analyst with ESPN. But when Williams invited Davis back to UNC, it wasn't a hard decision.
And as soon as Coach asked me, I wanted to say yes. It was just yes.
Davis says he's comfortable relating to players and offering his three-point shooting expertise. But when he had to call plays in the game against Florida Atlantic, things were different.
That was crazy. I was like, oh my goodness. I had to draw up, I had a diagram during halftime. That was my first diagram that I'd get up on the board, and it was interesting.
In fact, the whole experience of being a Tar Heel again has been overwhelming for Davis.
I've told people it has been a gift that saying thank you is not enough. It's almost stop it is too much.
But there's no time to stop. He's just getting started. In Chapel Hill, I'm Julian Caldwell.
And three-point shooting will be essential in guessing how far UNC will go in the tournament. You know how far Carolina will go in the tournament? So prove it. Join the Sports Extra Bracket Challenge. Visit our Facebook page for a link to our ESPN Bracket Challenge group.
68 teams, one champion.
Who will survive March Madness? Our NCAA predictions after the break.
Don't forget to tune in to our sister shows, Carolina Week at 5 p.m. every Wednesday on Time Warner 24 or Campus Channel 34, and Carolina Connection at 8:30 every Saturday morning on WCHL 97.9 FM.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Take time to be a dad today.
Here's your check. Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. Got it.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early. You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
2 outs with a runner on first base. Now the big guy comes up to bat, hitting .342 with 92 RBIs and 36 homers.
Chill raw and prepared foods promptly. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
My dad's one of the producers who was there tonight. Bring this sweet.
It's the most wonderful time of year. No, it's not Christmas. It's time to fill out your brackets. Back again to help you fill out your brackets are Ryan O'Rourke and Mike Rodriguez. Welcome, boys. Every year, brackets get busted. I'm pretty sure mine is already ruined, and I haven't even filled it out yet. Ryan and Mike, who do you see as this year's bracket busters?
Well, my first bracket buster, I have Oregon. You know, the Ducks are the Pac-12 champions, got a 12 seed in the Midwest region. I really think they're going to make it to the Sweet 16, but ultimately lose to the Louisville Cardinals.
That's pretty interesting, Ryan. My first pick is going to be the Creighton Blue Jays. Doug McDermott is averaging more than 23 points a game, 50% from three-point line. I like them taking on the Blue Devils, making it to the Sweet 16.
And my second bracket buster is the Ole Miss Rebels. They're led by Marshall Henderson, who averages over 20 points per game. He just carries a certain swagger about him, and I think his shooting is going to lead the Ole Miss all the way to the Elite Eight.
My second will be St. Mary's. 2 years in a row, a team that's played in the play-in game has made it to the Sweet 16. This year, that means it has to be the St. Mary's.
And my last bracket buster is going to be Iowa State Cyclones. They're a 10 seed, and they can just flat out score the ball. They're 4th in the country in scoring, so you know if they get hot at the right time in tournament time, I think they can make a run.
Remember this team, St. Louis Billikens. I know that's a strange mascot. I know they're a 4 seed, but I have them going for to the Final Four. That means they're beating.
4 seed? How is that a bracket buster?
They're beating Louisville. That's the #1 seed in the nation. You know, and when I have them going to the Final Four, that means something. You usually see a 1 or 2 seed. I'm saying the 4.
Fair enough.
Well, I hope all your picks come true.
Also, every year there are really high-seeded teams you expect to go all the way who fall way short. Who do you think are some of the teams that need to be on upset alert?
Well, you know, no bias here, but I have Kansas losing to UNC. You know, I think we match up really well against them. I think Dexter Strickland has to play well defensively against Ben McLemore. And like we said earlier, we're going to need P.J. Harrison and Reggie Bullock to really shoot the ball well and limit what 7-footer Jeff Withey can do on the glass.
I don't mind that call, Ryan. I'm going to go with, you know, I said Creighton's going to be a bracket buster. Duke Blue Devils are on upset alert. I just don't like their matchup against Doug McDermott and the Creighton Blue Jays. I think it's going to be a lot of trouble for them.
And my second team on upset alert is UCLA. They just lost their second leading scorer, Jordan Adams, to a broken foot for the rest of the tournament. So, you know, they are really susceptible to an early round loss, which I actually have them losing to their first game to Minnesota, which is a really well-coached team with Tubby Smith.
Interesting. The Memphis Tigers have 4 losses on the season. 4 losses. That's the second fewest in this tournament field. Gonzaga, of course, has 2. I'm still going with the first round upset. They're going to be gone. Just mark them off of your bracket now.
And my last team on upset alert is the Gonzaga. You know, I think they've only lost 2 games all year, but I think they're also susceptible to an early round knockout, which I think is going to come from the Wichita State Shockers.
Oh, that's surprising. That's surprising. I have University of Nevada, Las Vegas, the Runnin' Rebels. You know, I see them. They're going to be out.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
All right, moment of truth. Who do you see going to the Final Four, and who's going to win it all?
Well, my Final Four, I have Louisville, Georgetown, Miami, and New Mexico, the Lobos. That's my sleeper pick right there. But I really think that the final is going to be Louisville and Miami. You know, no one's playing better in the country right now than Shane Larkin, so I think he's going to carry the Hurricanes all the way to the championship. But ultimately, I have Louisville taking the championship game with a score of 79-76. And I just really think that, you know, Rick Pitino, he's such a great coach that he is going to carry them all the way to the championship.
Unfortunately, Louisville is going to lose to St. Louis in the Elite Eight. So I have St. Louis, Florida, Gonzaga. I do like Gonzaga. And I actually like Marquette to beat Miami for the Final Four. They didn't ask for a championship game, so I wasn't exactly quite ready to go there.
Well, Carolina fans certainly hope to see that the Heels are making it all the way to Atlanta. Thanks. That was Mike Rodriguez and Ryan O'Rourke live.
And that does it for this edition of Sports Extra. Thanks for tuning in.
Close it.